Right now I'm doing a Did You Know. So Did You Know is not related to the materials on the monthly materials. Did You Know is a random piece of information that I feel like I'd want to share about the Bible. Right? The Bible says in Proverbs 25:2, it is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings to search out a matter. We are all priests and kings, so God finds it glorified when he can hide something for us to find. Right? He doesn't hide doctrine or core beliefs. I believe there are things he hides in order to authenticate his message, to prove that it's his word. Now, disclaimer, what I'm showing you today, I don't have enough evidence as I do on my Friday sessions to show beyond a shadow of a doubt. What I'm showing you today is based on the information I was able to gather and dig into. It's coincidental or plausible, and I want to share with you. So I will go through some of the evidence that I came up with, but again, it's not been peer-reviewed enough for me to be 100% certain, but I think it's pretty interesting anyway. So Exodus 19-20 is when the Israelites come out of Egypt. Moses brings the camp of Israel to meet with God at the foot of Mount Sinai. In verse 19:16, it says, so it came about on the third day, when it was morning, that there was thunder and lightning, flashes, and a thick cloud upon the mountain, and a very loud trumpet sound, so that all the people who were in the camp trembled. Right? When the trumpet sounded long, became louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God answered him by voice. Right? It's kind of an interesting, peculiar setup here of God speaking back. Moses goes up the mountain, gets the 10 Commandments, and then comes back down. A lot of you are familiar with that story. If you go back to the original Hebrew text, the word there is the root word for seeing, and applying to the thunder, the lightning, the sound of the trumpet, and the voice of God. Not hearing, but seeing. Right? And all the people were seeing the thunder and the lightning, the sounds of the ram's horn, and the mountain smoking. King James, all the people saw the thunderings, and the lightnings, and the noise of the trumpet, and the mountain smoking, which is kind of an odd way to phrase it. Now all the people witnessed the thunder and lightning and flashes, the ESV saw, and then NIV, as you get farther away from the original translation, a lot of these, depending on the version you have, they're more transliterated. So NIV is kind of what we think it means. I saw the thunder and lightning, and we heard the trumpet sound, and then saw the mountain smoke. It's just kind of odd of the way, if it really was that way, there's no actual original Hebrew text that supports that translation. It's all based on seeing the sound of the trumpet. And so it could be plausible that this is 100%, what it means. And when we say we saw someone give a speech, we don't actually mean we saw the words, we just saying we saw him on stage. When we say we see thunder and lightning, we don't see the thunder, we hear the thunder and we see the lightning. And it could be that, right? It could be that they just meant it figuratively. Two Israeli scientists, Guggenheim and, I can't say the last guy, he's Albez, but they both separately, unknowing from each other, both saw this and were kind of perplexed by it. Why would they use the word seeing here? Why not use hearing? Why not use a mix of the two? And so they kind of wondered if there was possibly a way to see words, to see if there's a way that the Israeli people could have seen the voice of God. And so the first gentleman here, Guggenheim, I actually had a short conversation with him over email. I've been putting this one together for like months now because I've been trying to validate it as much as I can. He sent me the software he used, that he built. He sent me the stuff, the resources, kind of explaining what he did. I went through it as best I could. I even tried to reverse engineer and even look at the assembly code of the software he used to see if there was any tricks in there, just because I wanted to validate it as much as I could before I presented it here. But so again, both these gentlemen did two separate, completely scientific methods of coming to the same conclusion. So the first gentleman, he kind of used he kind of did a modified oscilloscope and a sonograph. A sonograph is a device for scanning sound, for taking sound waves and creating a picture. An oscilloscope takes a tone or a voltage or a tone and then makes a shape based off of that. And so he created a device that would only hear what humans could hear based on how our ears are shaped. And it would only portray what humans can see, so only within the color spectrum that was available to human eyes. And then he reversed the flow. Instead of going from left to right, he did it right to left, because that's how you write in a Hebrew. And he added a third dimension there of time. So depending on how long you spoke the word, that would also play into a variable of what was displayed on the screen. And the goal was to say, let's build something that when you say a word like apple or tree or A or B, the device would show you that letter or that word. Right? And so in Exodus 19:19, as the sound of the trumpet sounded long and grew louder and louder, Moses spoke and God answered him in thunder. Now, that to me plays a part. The shofar, that trumpet sound, a long, steady tone, mimics an oscilloscope of a long, steady tone. Kind of mimics a sonogram. They both send out like a tone wave, a sound wave, and then that sound wave gets altered as it goes out there. So they tried it. They said A, B, C. They went through some of the English letters, and the results on the left, all they got was noise. Right? Nothing that showed resembled an A, nothing that resembled a B. They tried other languages. They got nothing. 17 out of the 22 letters form shapes of the written letter today. And it was like mind-blowing. The tiet, when they said tiet, it's shaped in this device the actual written letter, right, based on that sound wave, right? And their minds are blown. These are the results from the second scientist that I mentioned. These are the results from the guy I actually corresponded with and his device. So the Shuri script is what they argue over whether that's the original writings or not. But 17 of the 22 letters form the shape of the written letter that's there today, right? And that's just mind-blowing. Like, how does that even happen? And that's what, when I first heard this, I'm like, I need to know more. Like, I need to understand more of this, right? And so there's a debate on those 17 out of the 22. What's wrong with the other 5? Either they're pronouncing it wrong, right, or it's not the original script as they thought it was, but 17 out of the 22 were there. So imagine now, right, the Israelites are at the mountain. I'm going to play a sound on my phone while I kind of talk about this. The Israelites are at the bottom of the mountain. There's thick clouds on the mountain. So there's mountains smoking, right? There's thick clouds in the sky. It is daytime, but with the thick cloud coverage, right, thunder and lightning is happening in the clouds. So have you ever seen lightning in a cloud? Lights up the whole cloud, right? And it says God spoke to them. And the Bible mentions on Jesus' second coming that there will be a horn blast, and we will know that Jesus is coming for the believers. Everybody else that's non-believers, all they will hear is thunder, right? But believers will actually hear the voice of God. And so you have thunder and lightning. And the shofar, that's the trumpet, blaring long and loud while there's thunder. Right? That's what they would have heard. As the sound of the trumpet sounded long and grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God answered him in thunder. And they trembled. You can see why it's a little frightening. Right? I'd be a little scared. It's like thunder is going off, and not only are they seeing the voice, they're seeing it in the clouds. Imagine the shape of the written Hebrew letters on the clouds as lightning forms, right, based on the sound of the trumpet. Can't prove it scientifically, right, not enough evidence, but seems kind of plausible, and it actually makes the verse make more sense. That they not only heard the sound of the trumpet, they saw the voice of God, which is what the verse says. So now you know that the Israelites most likely did see the voice of God, and the sky formed the sound of the trumpet and the voice of God. And here's some references. You can pause. You can watch back to the live stream and pause and kind of look those up. And that's it. All done.